Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You're already catching us there if you're watching us now, and you can follow us later on in the groups that scroll across the bottom of the screen. Big college football weekend. We got big news in the NFL. We got a 4-home run game, which is one of the oddest, most, what's the word I want to look for? Rarest things in Major League Baseball, come to think of it. And I'm joined this morning by my co-host, as always, the great boxing writer, Hall of Fame writer, Jack Hirsch. How are you, Jack?
Hey, Keith, and congratulations on your retirement. Not from this show. I mean, hopefully you're going to be there many more years. Hopefully it won't be many years venting about the Yankees not having won a World Series. I hope they can win one in the coming years, so this way you can tamp it down a little bit. But their 5-game winning streak, I'm sure you know, it's kind of temporarily muzzled you.
I got a 35-year retirement, I hope, here, Jack, and I better.
It's a big day. I'm surprised you're doing the show today, Keith. I thought you'd take off. I mean,
I'm a workhorse, Jack. I'm a workhorse. I'm even going to work on it. I got one little project I got to finish up before I'm done working, for crying out loud. These people are
kidding. I mean, most people check out early. You know, keep playing hard even with your team out of the game, or your team eliminated.
I got to find new things to kind of tease people about, because I've been talking about my retirement on all my shows for the last year, and now I got to find something new to fill that time with. I guess we'll find something. We got stuff today.
We got stuff, but I kind of wonder, Keith. Yeah. Obviously, the big news that you're going to start off with is the Micah Parsons situation. I mean, that's obvious. I'm not cutting in on you or anything. No. But I kind of wonder, Kyle Schwarber tied the Major League record with 4 homers. We're not going to talk about him right now because he's not the lead story. But if he hit a 5th homer and broke the Major League record, what would have been our lead story today?
I might have started there.
Kyle Schwarber, or would it have been Micah Parsons? What would it have been?
It's a good question. There's your debate question for tomorrow.
No. James gave me the debate question. I never would have thought of putting in Micah Parsons in the debate question. Well, but, he suggested it's a Micah Parsons. It will be.
We will start with the NFL only because it is the biggest. I mean, look at Schwarber's a big deal, and we're going to talk about that. But it's all over everywhere. It's hard to ignore it. We know the backstory. You know, he wanted an extension. Jerry said no. Seems pretty obvious that Jerry was dug in. I'm still a little surprised they traded him. Is this a good trade for the Cowboys? I mean, they do get a Pro Bowler back. They did need they could use a lineman, but those 2 first-round draft picks, they're just. That's a shot in the dark. That's not if somebody, and that might have been Brian actually, that compared it to the Herschel Walker trade. They got a lot more for Herschel Walker, and they made them all work. That's the thing. You got to make it work now. So,
yeah, I don't know about you, Keith, but when I'm watching a ball game, like a Yankee game, and it's between innings, I turn to another channel just to see what's going on. And I turn to the NFL Network, because I wanted to get the absolute latest on the trade, what all the moving pieces were, because originally the trade parameters were different. It didn't come out that the Cowboys got what they were getting. It said they had gotten something else that was falsely reported. They got the 2 number 1s, Lucas Van Ness, and So I got to the NFL Network, and Jerry Jones was having a press conference. So of course, I'm captivated. Now I'm missing the Yankee game because I'm listening to the Cowboy press conference, him going on and on and on. I think the problem, Keith, is we live in an either-or society. Oh, who got the best of the deal? Who was right? Who was wrong? Yeah. Sometimes there's so many moving parts, Keith.
You won't know for
evaluate it, in black and white, who is right, who's in one corner and who's in the other corner. And that's what I think we have here with the Cowboy Packer deal. There's so many moving parts. On the surface, if you can get a superstar player like a Micah Parsons, or who at least is in the image of being a superstar. You feel you can't go wrong. Wow, we got Micah Parsons. We're the Packers. We're celebrating. And the Cowboys have unknown pieces, even though they got, a really good nose tackle back in return, on top of their 2 late number ones. So there's a moving parts, Keith, because the Packers are going to have to pay Micah Parsons' salary. Keep that in mind. And that's going to affect the rest of the roster.
Plus
now the Cowboys are going to have more flexibility in their roster and their spending.
And that's, by the way, yes, the salary is a huge part of this. $188 million over 4 years, up to $136 million of that is guaranteed. And we have a new highest paid non-quarterback, which seems like we have one every week. He's a great player. I think he helps the Packers probably more than, and immediately. I think the Packers win this trade immediately in the short term. But long term,
what's lost in all this? Let me tell you what's lost in all this. People might talk about loyalty. Oh, Micah Parsons, he was loyal to the Cowboys. He wanted to spend his whole career as a Cowboy, be one of the Cowboy legends. What about Kenny Clark? The nose tackle, who was a Pro Bowler last year. He played hurt last year. Didn't have really that good a year last year. But he spent his first 9 years in the NFL as a Green Bay Packer. And now in year 10, he's traded to the Cowboys. So where's the loyalty to a guy like Kenny Clark? No one talks about him because the average fan doesn't even know who the heck he is. He's a pretty good player. He's a good, solid player. He's not a star.
No.
He's a run stuffer. He's really good against the run. Okay?
You know what? You don't know about guys like Kenny Clark because they're the interior linemen are the most important part of any football team. That's what they're built off of, but we never know any of their names. And Kenny Clark is a great example of that. In my mind.
And the Cowboys actually might be a little better off now stopping the run than they were before. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd rather have Micah Parsons than Kenny Clark. So Micah Parsons is the better player. Micah Parsons is an elite player. Kenny Clark is a solid player. There's a difference. But we've seen deals like this made before for star players in a sense. The Khalil Mack deal. When Khalil Mack was traded, we thought, oh, wow, the Chargers are getting a star, this and that.
He never plays well.
And Jamal Adams from the Jets.
Yeah.
Jet fans were upset. They had a star safety in Jamal Adams. He's traded to Seattle for basically maybe unknown pieces to an extent. But it resulted in them being able to eventually get Garrett Wilson with that draft capital. So you don't know how these deals are going to work out. On the surface, it would seem that the Packers have gotten the better of the deal on the surface. It would seem that way.
The Cowboys make out, though, because the distraction is gone. If he's not going to sign an extension and he plays, it's hanging over their head. And the stories don't go away. They're better off with him gone. I think they are.
My beef with the Cowboys is this. I think they could have and they should have gotten a little more. Now, they're not going to get 3 number 1 draft picks. I know that. They got 2, okay? They got Kenny Clark, who would have been the equivalent of a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. He's like 30 years old or so he may have only gotten a 4th round pick for Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
What I think the Cowboys could have gotten a couple of more picks. They could have gotten the 2 number 1s, a number 3, and a number 5 on top of it. So I think they missed out on a couple of more draft picks, not number 1s. They couldn't have gotten those. Maybe not number 2s, but it's hard to believe they couldn't have gotten at least an additional 3rd and 5th round draft choice down the line.
Yeah.
2-3 years from now that they could have had his draft capital.
Yeah. Do you think, and Jerry Jones made a big deal, I thought he made a big deal anyway, of talking about we were looking for teams that could afford to pay Micah Parsons. Like he's doing Micah Parsons a favor, but at the same time, he doesn't even say his name right. He called him Michael about 7 times in that press conference. Is this just Jerry Jones being old? Is it disrespect? Is he doing it on purpose? Do you think he cares about Micah Parsons getting his money somewhere else?
No, I don't want to hear all that. But take it from the beginning. Micah Parsons approached Jerry Jones in the beginning to talk about leadership and this and that. Why did Micah Parsons approach Jerry Jones last spring? It's hard to believe Micah Parsons didn't have a contract discussion on his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, did he just want to talk about the team? Oh, how's the team going to be upcoming? And Jerry Jones said yesterday, and Stephen Jones backed him up on this, and I didn't care for this a great deal. They like to negotiate, Jerry Jones said, contracts directly with the players because they have relationships with the players that last many years after the players have left the Cowboy organization, and I believe that. I believe that Jerry Jones does have relationships with former Cowboys where he genuinely maybe want to help them if he could and have friendships. And Jerry Jones says, well, the agents don't have friendships with them. The agents just make the deal and then they're done with the guy. They're not friends with him years later the way I am. And then the agents in the company, they pass them on from one agent to the other agent. But Jerry Jones knows full well these guys aren't equipped as agents to negotiate. The agent's a pain in the butt to him negotiating. And Micah Parsons' agent, same one who negotiated the great deal for Deshaun Watson, he was ticked off at Jerry Jones for not dealing with him, for going directly over his head. And I could tell you, things like that tick someone off to no end. You know, I could tell you a little story where I'm still a little ticked off. I don't even remember the agent's name. There was this charity basketball game with famous boxers, and the person putting it together, they brought me into the conversation as an advisor, you know, to help them out. I'm not going to give names. And they had an agent of one of the NFL players on a 3-way conversation with me. That agent ignored me the full time, kept addressing the other person like I didn't even exist. And if you don't think that becomes personal, then you're wrong. Because I know myself, I was ticked off at that agent to the point that if I was representing someone, screw that agent, I'm going to act this way, that way going forward.
Yeah. Listen, I think both of Jones's comments about agents and wanting to negotiate with players is totally disingenuous. They don't do it because they have a relationship with the players. They do it because they know they can get over on the player more than they can over an agent. 100%. That's all the reason they do it.
And even Stephen Jones said, well, sometimes we have players who say deal with the agent only, and we respect their wishes. I believe you should always deal with the agent. But in the case of Micah Parsons, Micah Parsons hasn't said, notice this, that I never negotiated with Jerry Jones.
Right.
He never said that. That leads me to believe, Keith, he did negotiate with Jerry Jones. He did come to an agreement with Jerry Jones. And then he let his agent know. And his agent probably said, no, this doesn't count. He never talked to me. We don't want this deal. And then Micah Parsons kind of backed off. And Jerry Jones was led to believe, somewhat at least, felt he could get over. Well, we had an agreement. I had an agreement with you, Micah. I mean, why are you going back on this? And Jerry Jones's agreement, to his way of thinking, well, I'm offering you more guaranteed money than anyone else. But basically what Jerry Jones was offering in guaranteed money was like $29 million a year for, it may have been, what was it, a 5-year deal or something?
I thought it was 4,
but the market was going to exceed that going forward. You know, guys sign contracts, then the market resets itself
every week,
to a higher value.
Every
and
week.
That was going to be the case. Maybe with the Packers, Keith, the money that seemed to have blown away the market, for defensive, edge rushers, so on, or whatever position they're playing Mike in.
Yeah.
Maybe the market's going to go up in the coming years, and Micah won't feel like he needs to renegotiate like Trey Hendrickson.
Well, Trey's a different story. I mean, he's older, and it's obvious the Cincinnati Bengals don't want him past this year because he's got $14 million extra this year. They don't care about 26. He won't be a Bengal next year. They're all in right now, and that's a little bit different story. I listen. If I'm a Packer fan, I'm happy today because you gave up a really good player, but you got one of the best defensive players in football. And now you got to pay him. They got a lot of money wrapped up in two guys up there. So they got, but you know what? You got to get creative today.
But if you pay these guys the money, Keith, it's easy to say, well, pay Micah the money, this and that. Let me ask you this, Keith. If Jerry Jones could have a do-over in paying Dak Wilson his contract is and he's the highest paid player in football, would you tell Jerry Jones to have made the deal and not make the deal with Dak Prescott?
With the quarterback, I feel like it's different. His hands are tied. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have a star quarterback. I think he would have had to make the deal.
So you're okay with Dak being the highest paid player in NFL history because that's what he is.
Again, my philosophy is this: you're worth anything, whatever somebody's willing to pay you, whether you earn it as a QB, right? But and to that point, I think that's what CA's talking about here. When they were negotiating with him, he's talking about all the yards he throws for, but they're behind all the time and they're a little bit bloated. You can't just look at numbers, right? Do I think Dak's the best player in football or the best quarterback in football? Absolutely not. But he's the quarterback of the Cowboys. He's the next guy up for a contract, and his will get passed too by somebody who's not the best quarterback in football because, as you say, the market will continue to reset. And it did start real quick, and we won't read into this, but it started with the agents who negotiated for Deshaun Watson. That's what really reset the market. And, that was for a guy that, you shouldn't have been paying anything to just for character issues. But this is going to be going on. I don't know who's going to stop this. Who's going to stop it?
No.
Who's going to the salaries will continue to escalate. We're going towards NBA money here right now. I mean, with these players. And every time, and no matter what league we're talking about, if you try to get salaries in line, then they're going to scream collusion. You're going to be in court.
No, but Micah Parsons, according to the rules, he was under contract to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys could have franchised him next year.
Right.
What was Micah Parsons going to do? And I don't want to hear, this is going to fracture the locker room. It's going to send a message the owner's cheap. You know what message it should send? Your NFL Players Association should do a better job of setting players up where they can negotiate.
Yeah.
That's what the deal is. If the ownership has the leverage, why are you paying a guy all this money all these years in advance because everyone else is playing follow the leader? Let's say Jerry Jones left this alone, Keith. Hypothetically, he wasn't going to trade Micah Parsons. He left the ball in Micah Parsons' lap. Was Micah Parsons going to skip the season? If he did, his value would have gone down. It wasn't going to go up. And you know what Jerry Jones could have done? He could have then let him sit next year as well. He could have let the guy just retire.
He was never going to sit. He was never going to sit out.
There's a public, backlash on certain things.
I think when you get to this push, when push comes to shove, right, in this type of situation, when a guy's got a contract, I know I'm going to come down, and I don't want to, on the side of the owner because you have a contract with me. If you don't play, the players alienate the fans more than the owners do when you get to that point. I mean, I know we're arguing about billionaires against millionaires, but it's you still come down on the side of the players. So the side of the owner. Once you stop playing in real games, that's a problem.
But Kate, part of it too, Micah Parsons said 2-3 weeks ago, I want to be traded. He asked for a trade flat out. And now I heard a few days ago, he approached Jerry Jones saying, oh, let's see if we could work something out. You don't ask for a trade. You don't go public saying, I don't want to be a Cowboy anymore. It's gotten to this point. I mean, once it got to that point, it's not just words. I think Micah Parsons sincerely wanted to be a Cowboy. I really do. And there's something to be said about legacy players. I don't think Micah Parsons had quite gotten to the point that, let's say, Saquon Barkley was at, that he wasn't quite a legacy Cowboy player yet. A couple of more years in the Cowboy uniform, he would have started becoming a legacy player where you never want to move on from him. He should be here his whole career if possible. But he was there 4 years, and Jerry Jones made a good point. It's not what the guy has done for me before with a new contract. What can he do for me going forward?
100%. I mean, a lot of guys get paid for what they've already done in all sports. And again, we see it doesn't work out very well that way.
I like the deal for the Packers, though.
I do
It has
too.
to make the Packers better this year, without question. It's got to make them better. And it's got to make the Cowboys short term. It's got to make them a little worse. It can't make them better. I mean, they have 2 number 1 picks. We don't know where those picks are going to be. We could project, Keith, you and I, the picks are going to fall in somewhere from 20 to the 25th pick range or thereabouts. You never know. It could be the late 20s. I don't think the Packers are winning the Super Bowl. No. It's going to be number 32. It could be the late 20s, or the Packers could flounder a bit. Yeah. The pick could be the 15th or 16th pick, and you could have some good value. And the Cowboys will have 2 number 1s this year, 2 number 1s next year. You never know what, the Packers could do going forward. I mean, we laugh and we speculate on Arch Manning. If Arch Manning slips just a little bit, his projection in the draft from number 1 to 5th to 6th, and the Cowboys have 2 number 1s this year, 2 number 1s next year, Jerry Jones, known as the gambler, could give 3 number 1s, 2 extra number 1s to move up some spots and grab Arch Manning. If Manning would come out and, turn pro Texas to the Cowboys, the wheel's always turning. But with that said, the Packers are the short-term, the beneficiaries of this deal. Absolutely.
100%. We'll see what the salary cap ramifications are later. We don't know until they start trying to build a roster next year and whatnot. Short-term, yes, they win. Aiden Hutchinson, it looks like Aiden Hutchinson will be the next guy that will be this. I think
he only had a couple of years and he was hurt, last year. So
he'll go through this. Everybody's going to go through.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's a heck of a player. Yeah, he'll get paid.
On my comment about collusions, Danny talks about the 30 owners coming together, collusion or not to not pay people.
They haven't done any of that, Danny. What are you talking about?
Hold on. The baseball players did try, or the owners did try in the 80s, and they got sued and lost millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Kaepernick and Trevor Bauer in baseball. You think the owners wasted 2 minutes of their time on Trevor Bauer? Because Trevor Bauer was a head case, everything he did.
I don't think
the GMs didn't want to sign him. Anyone could have signed him. And Trevor Bauer had off the field issues that I don't want to get into as well. And as far as Kaepernick went, Kaepernick was a major distraction to any team that was going to hire him. And Kaepernick, at the point that Kaepernick became available, he was the equivalent of a good backup quarterback at that point. If this was Patrick Mahomes taking a knee, you think teams would have avoided signing him? Everyone would have lined up to sign Patrick Mahomes. They would have taken a knee along with him just to sign him.
I've been saying for 5 years, if Colin Kaepernick could help a team win, he'd be on a team, and it would have been all along. He could not. He was an inaccurate quarterback. He went to a Super Bowl because he had a really good coach with a really good defense and a tricked up offense that the league caught up with, and that's why he's not in the league anymore. Plain and simple.
But Danny,
Trevor Bauer's a little different story, but
they don't want distractions. Tim Tebow was a major distraction. Teams didn't want him. Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders are distractions because of their name. They are pain in the butt, the coaches and their staff. And they're pain in the butt, the players, other players indirectly. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you're a player, you don't want to be asked about Shedeur Sanders and the team. You get sick of it. I mean, it's different if you were the old-time New York Jets and all the players were asked about Joe Namath. Namath is a superstar. You could tolerate that. But,
right.
You're not going to tolerate marginal talents.
Yeah, and I don't think it's absolute. These two players could help anybody. Kaepernick could not help anybody, or he'd be playing. Trevor Bauer's a different story. He's a very talented pitcher, and he's not playing because of the personal situations. He could help a team. I won't argue with you there, Danny. Kaepernick.
But they're not in collusion. But the owners, Keith, the owners are not in collusion on the Trevor Bauer, Colin Kaepernick. Collusion means the owners are talking about it amongst themselves and saying, "Don't sign this guy." That's what collusion is.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're making individual decisions not to sign Trevor Bauer.
Decisions, right?
I agree, but still, I don't want him on my team, quite frankly, because he would be a distraction.
Trevor Bauer, I wouldn't want.
I know a comment's going to come up that it was all proved not true. One instance, he's been a problem on every team he's been at. And I know he played on your Dodger team when this all came down, Danny. And, you can take them back, too. They haven't.
Stuff comes back to haunt you, like when Trevor Bauer was with the Indians and Terry Francona, the manager at the time of the Indians, came out to the mound to remove him. Trevor Bauer takes the ball and he throws it over the outfield fence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's those type of meltdowns, don't go over well.
Suspended a guy for like a month right then and there, but we don't do that anymore.
I mean, listen, on certain situations, I might give Trevor Bauer another chance. I'm not saying I would be completely unforgiving. I'd have to see what he did recently, how he's gotten his life together. I do believe in second chances, as long as it's not effective. It has to be a positive thing for your team.
Right. So Danny was happy to see him go from the Dodgers. I don't think he's talking about his own. I think his own preference. He doesn't want him there. He just thinks there's collusion to keep him out of the game. Anyway, we still got another week before before we have NFL football again. So, anything that really surprised you in the cut downs the other day? Patriots cut Cole Strange, but not a big surprise there, quite frankly. Big bust for the Patriots. Any other? Nothing really.
I'll tell you, it was heartwarming, Keith. Your New England Patriots picking up Tommy DeVito to be their third string quarterback. No, it's heartwarming. I'm going to tell you why it's heartwarming. He really put in the time with the Giants. He really did.
Yeah.
He played as well as a third string quarterback could reasonably play. Even won a few games for them,
he won.
Right. He was good in the preseason. He was a victim of the numbers. The Giants didn't want to cut him, but they had no choice.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's their starter. Jackson Dart's the quarterback of the future. And Jameis Winston, you have to place ahead of Tommy DeVito. But him going to New England, and he's a New Jersey kid, he's close to home.
Yeah.
He's close to home. And, he played at Syracuse. It's a nice fit for Tommy DeVito.
So is this? You see him as a worthy. You see him as a worthy successor to the clipboard holder, Brian Hoyer.
Well, I'll say this: Mike Grable saw something he liked because Tommy DeVito, carved up his third stringers in the exhibition games. So Grable likes the kid, took a liking to him. He's funky. He's good. And to me, Tommy DeVito is a perfect third string quarterback. He's the type of guy I would like on my team or if I could at least keep him on the practice squad. I definitely wouldn't want him as a starter. Oh,
No,
I
no.
thought of Mac the other day. Talk about crazy moves. The Cleveland Browns add a quarterback. They added Zappy, Mac's all-time favorite, who Mac was going to be.
Jesus, Zappy. Anybody who
What are
didn't,
they doing? They had Zappy before. So obviously he's their Tommy DeVito. Kevin Stefanski liked him when they had him before. He knows the offense. They're putting him on the practice squad. They have the three other guys. I don't get it complete. I do get it, but the quarterback numbers are funny.
They make a trade. They make a trade to get the numbers in line, and they bring in Zappy. Well, they're not. He's going to be on the practice squad.
And then Deshaun Watson, they might have to deal with him late in the year, the numbers game or whatever. And
God bless Mac. Anybody who wasn't playing in New England, he loved their backup quarterbacks. Zappy, Milton, he loved them all. You can have them all because none of them can play. So
Mac loved those backup quarterbacks in New England. You're right.
For sure.
You're right.
Let's move on a little bit. Let's go to baseball because what would have been, and we talked about this, that, in a lot of days, this would have been the number one story. Schwarber hits 4 home runs last night. Only the 21st time it's happened in Major League history. There's been like 100 no-hitters or more. I mean, which we think is a rare event. Hitting 4 home runs is one of the rarest of events in Major League Baseball, along with maybe perfect games. This stands out as a big moment in this season in baseball history, no?
Yeah, well, 4 home runs ties the record the most in one game. I'm really surprised, Keith, that record hasn't fallen, that no one's hit 5 in a game. I know how hard it is, but with all the games being played, and Schwarber got up 6 times yesterday.
Yeah,
he actually had a chance to hit his 5th home run. To give you an idea how the record could be broken, Aaron Judge came closer than people realized earlier this season. He had 3 homers in a game, but in 2 of his other at-bats, 1 ball was hit off the fence for a double. That could have been a home run. And then his last at-bat, he went against a batting practice, a position player who was just lobbing the ball, and Judge hits it to the warning track, where he easily could have hit a homer there. And those 2 little near misses could have been 5 homers, and that's a major league record. Some records can be broken. Some records, are unbreakable, like Cy Young's 511 wins. There should be an asterisk next to that because something is off on that record. Some records, if one record, Keith, is so ridiculously far ahead of what everyone else did, so ridiculously far ahead, you've got to do something about it.
Well, I'm not a big asterisk fan because the rules of baseball were different at the time. I don't remember, and I don't know the circumstances of all those wins, right? But I'm sure that he was getting credit for wins that you wouldn't get credit for today. So, again, but I'm not a big asterisk fan. I mean, should Roger Maris have got an asterisk because he played in more games than Babe Ruth? I don't think so.
I'm going to tell you something, Keith. All the years I was against an asterisk, but to argue the position of fairness, he did have 8 more games. No. Maris should be considered the single season holder at the time he did it, home run record, and should have held it all the years. But there should have been a little asterisk next to it. And you want to know something? The asterisk isn't going to really diminish the record. Let's say most points scored in a season in the NBA, Keith. We have an 82-game schedule. Let's say they raised it to 90 games. And there was and someone exceeded the win. Oh, okay, let's do it another way. Team wins, held by the Golden State Warriors, 73 wins in the season and an 82-game schedule. If you raise the schedule to 90 games and another team gets 75 wins, I mean, don't you think there should be a little asterisk next to it that it's a 90-game season? I mean, because if the Warriors had more games
Well, where do you
They
stop?
would have won more games.
Where do you stop with home run records? Let's stick with the home runs for a second. Whether it's home run 4 a game, whether it's a season record, there's a lot more to play that change besides length of schedule. The equipment is better today. The ballparks are smaller. The baseballs are harder. The pitchers are probably worse than they were 50 years ago because we got.
No, they're not worse. They throw much harder, Keith.
I don't care about harder. Who cares about harder?
They're not worse now.
Balls for lunch. When you got 30 teams, and before when Babe Ruth was hitting 60 home runs, there was 16. I mean, come on. The players are not as good. I'm sorry. The depth of really good players is not as good today as it was 50 years ago, for sure.
I want to tell you, I don't want to get into the debate. I don't want to get into the debate. We've had super players come along. For example, I was talking with someone the other day, and this is something that's thought-provoking, and I said Aaron Judge is a better player than Mickey Mantle was. And people don't want to hear that because Mickey Mantle is so legendary.
Yeah.
But Aaron Judge was as good defensively as Mantle, probably a little better. And Mantle had nothing over him as far as hitting home runs and et cetera, et cetera. So Mantle was a little quicker, you know.
I think when he was
have him on the base, it's a little quicker when he was younger. But
yeah.
But people don't want to hear something like that. If I said to someone, Mike Trout was as good as Willie Mays, they might not want to hear that. Ken Griffey Jr., if I said he was better than Joe DiMaggio, I'd rather have him than Joe DiMaggio, Ken Griffey Jr. People don't want to hear that.
Well, I wouldn't listen, to me, and I'm a Yankee fan. Willie Mays is the best all-around player ever played a game. Ever. But that's just
I'm playing devil's advocate to an extent.
I get it.
Devil's advocate to an extent. I mean, I'm not saying I would necessarily pick Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Trout over Willie Mays, but I would. But if we had to draft one of them, Keith, you and I, there was a draft and they were all available. You and I would sit down and we'd probably discuss it for hours who we would take, whoever we would take. If we took Willie Mays, it wouldn't be a quick decision. You wouldn't say, come on, Jack, we can't bypass Willie Mays. You wouldn't dismiss Trout and Griffey. We would have very serious discussion who would have been the best guy.
I agree 100%. Rick brings up a good point. Go back to the asterisks, and Danny's got a good point, too. I'll bring up in a second. He talked about the NFL going from 14, to 16 first, and then to 17. In fact, they went from 10 to 14. OJ breaks Jim Brown's record in 14 games. His was done in 10.
Yeah.
OJ's record gets broken by Eric Dickerson, who played in 16 games. No asterisks. Should there be asterisks? No. Again, Danny brings up a great point. Henry Aaron had 3,000 more bats than Babe Ruth because he played longer. No asterisk.
Yeah, but it should tell us the type of player they are. If you compare, you can't compare Hank Aaron. You shouldn't compare him as a home run hitter to Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is clearly a better home run hitter than Hank Aaron. But Hank Aaron had all these extra at-bats. He could compile the numbers. It doesn't take away from how great a player Henry Aaron was, an all-time great. But the Babe was a better home run hitter than Hank Aaron. So if we hear, Hank Aaron is the home run king, no, he's not the home run king. He just happened to hit more home runs over his career because, he had all these extra at-bats. But it doesn't diminish what Hank Aaron did.
He actually isn't. He is the home run king because he has more home runs than anybody. Well, I'm sorry, he doesn't anymore. Barry Bonds does. But he was the home run king because he had more home runs. And being a better home run hitter, right? I agree. If you're just going to say, okay, you go up there and take 100 whacks, well, Babe Ruth in his prime is going to hit more home runs than Henry Aaron. I agree. But
there are a lot of intangibles involved. That's the thing about it. Asterisks are okay if you have a lot of asterisks, but you have to put an asterisk in perspective. That's the thing about it.
No.
It sounds diminishing. The word asterisk sounds demeaning. That's why people don't like it. They have an asterisk. They say, oh, well, they think something is tainted because it has an asterisk next to it. It shouldn't be tainted. I mean, there's a difference between setting a record in a 162 game season and a 154 game season. And you, like you pointed out, Keith, the intangibles like night games, better equipment, this and that. There's too many intangibles. Maybe records are just overrated in general to a large extent.
Yeah, no, baseball's a game of numbers, and I don't think they're overrated. But again, no asterisks. There's a lot of things. Things are always going to change, right? I don't want them to change either. Believe me, I'm as change averse as any.
We were talking about Micah Parsons before, and I remember, and then I'm going to get off this. When we had Jim Jeffcoat, the great defensive end for the Cowboys all those years, when he was on our show on this network as a regular, I once brought up something to him that he agreed with. So I was glad. I said, I'd rather have a defensive end, pressure the quarterback 3 times and force him to get rid of the ball early than 1 sack. But it doesn't show up but the sacks are more prominent in the statistic. So a guy can have 2 sacks a game and not do much otherwise, and people under the impression, oh, he's an elite player.
I get it. That's the only time probably he agreed with you, because he mostly wanted to get to the bottom of the pile most of the time.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun with Jim Jeffcoat. I loved it.
I miss Jim.
Byron Williams as well.
Yeah, both those guys. I got
those guys were great. Yeah,
we got to get you guys back. So let's pivot to some college football, because we're going to make some picks. We got to make our weekly 3-game picks, 2 favorites and a underdog, which we'll get to in a second. But I did this on my college football show, and I want to get it to this audience. And we're going to Jack's going to give me his playoff picks, and I will give you my playoff picks, and I do need an eventual champion as well.
Yeah, sure.
So we don't have to worry about matchups. You just give me your 12 teams from there.
I'm going to give it with little comment for the most part. Very, very quick comment.
Sure. That's fine.
No particular order, and then I'll give you my national champion. Texas. This is the beginning of the Arch Manning era. Whether they beat Ohio State tomorrow, I have some doubts. Ohio State, the national champions, they still come back loaded. They'll be my second pick to playoffs. Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman, even though he has a freshman quarterback. I love Marcus Freeman. He's the wave of the young coach that the players believe in, who can relate to players. Penn State to be in the playoffs. James Franklin has shown a complete inability to win a big game.
Goodwood won.
Yeah, he won 1. Yeah. But Clemson, I got to believe they're back. And if not, Dabo Sweeney's definitely on the hot seat. Illinois, I'm going to pick. They have lots of players with a lot of upside. They're kind of intriguing. So I'm going to go with Illinois, and a surprise to get there. Washington, Jed Fish there, his name's going to start getting out there a little more as a high-profile coach. In Alabama, I don't know. I have doubts about Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, if they don't win, people are going to be nostalgic already, even though it hasn't been long removed from the Nick Saban era. He could find himself in a little trouble because they're spoiled at Alabama. There's Oregon, with Dan Lanning as their coach is respected there. I put in my notes, and I got to come clean, Keith. I can fake it. I told you before the show. I did my predictions before they played games. I put down Boise State. And listen to this. This is funny. I had put down before they got their rear ends kicked. They should be 4-0 by the time they face Notre Dame. They should be 4-0. So they were going to be unbeaten. That was maybe going to be their first loss. Boise State is not necessarily out of the playoffs, like you said, but they're in trouble. Now they got to beat Notre Dame, it seems.
Well, where it becomes a big problem, and I talked about this on a couple of shows, including my football show, that was a big game because those two teams could be – there's a very good chance they both win their conferences, and if this is the tiebreaker, then they got a problem. So.
Yeah. In Miami with Carson Beck, who was everyone's number one NFL projected quarterback who transferred from Georgia. I think Carson Beck's a good quarterback, of Miami. I think he's capable of getting him into the playoffs. I don't know where he'll go in the draft. He might be a late first-round pick now, but I think I look for him to have a good year. And then there's Georgia, I look forward for when they play Alabama, but Kirby Smart, great reputation, well earned.
Just kissing up to Rick Sherlock, I think, on that pick, but that's okay.
Yeah. Rick's Vikings are going to take a step back in the NFL. So
you got a couple interesting picks in there. I'm going to have a lot of the same. Washington's an interesting pick. I do like your comments. Jed Fitch is a really underrated coach. Did a great job at turning Arizona around. I think and last year he had a decent year in his first year in the Big Ten after Washington lost 21 out of 22 starters. I don't like them getting to the playoff this year, but that's a good pick there. I like it. Rick had a comment here about Boise State. I think he's talking to me. I didn't pick Boise State to make a big deal this year. I don't have them making the playoff. And in fact, I bet South Florida last night. I love South Florida last night. So I'm not sure where that came from, Rick. Maybe I said something.
I proved I'm honest. I didn't have to mention Boise State. I could have faked it. No one would have known, but I have my own conscience. That's who I thought was going to be one of the Big 12, playoff teams beforehand, and then they lost. So
it's interesting.
I don't think so now, but that's what I went with before they played.
Real quick before I do my picks, Danny talks about Miami is going to be loaded, which Danny doesn't like the convicts. I'm a little surprised he said that. And Danny,
don't call them the convicts. They were never bad kids years ago.
Yeah, listen, that's one of the great
documentaries. Yeah,
convicts. So anyway, not bad. Who's your eventual national champion now, though?
I'm going to go with, this is a bit of a surprise. I know they're not one of the favorites, but I'm going to go with Notre Dame to recapture past glory.
That's fair.
They have a freshman quarterback in C.J. Carr who can really be electrifying. And
great story. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Marcus Freeman is like the perfect coach with a young quarterback, to build them up with young players. I mean, I don't think the players fear him. They respect them. You hear two elements of thought where coaches say they either have to fear me or respect me. Okay, respect goes a lot further, and I think Marcus Freeman, he's going to be a hot hire for the NFL. I think at the end of this year, and he's going to have to decide whether he wants to spend his career at Notre Dame, whether he goes to the NFL. I would advise him to stay at Notre Dame. He's
a Midwest guy, and he came up for the Chicago. His name came up. I don't know whether he got an official interview for the Chicago Bear gig last year, but he is a college football coach, a great college football coach, becoming a great college coach. I know some of my viewers on my college football huddle haven't come across or haven't warmed up to Marcus Freeman a lot. I'll tell you what, he's taken his team in 4 years, and he's had a couple of seasons that were on the brink of being disasters. His first season was on the brink of being a disaster. They turned it around and win a bowl. They did very, very well. Finished 9-4 that first year. He takes a team that even I was ready to jump off the Marcus Freeman bandwagon after they lost to NIU last year. But it shows you can lose early, and it's not going to hurt you if you're a big name. And because he rallied that team, did a great job. They got better at doing what Riley Leonard can do well, and he took that team to this close to a national championship. So anyway, that's just a couple of comments there. I'll give you my picks now. And we'll come back to the comments after that. So my winner, here's my teams, and I'll give you my the conference winners. Just Jacks were in there. Just you got 5 Big Ten teams in there, by the way. That's bold.
Yeah, the Big Ten strong.
Yeah, I do have Oregon winning the Big Ten, so they're in. Alabama winning the SEC. I have Georgia falling back this year. Just the way Rick's mad at me, I think. I don't have them making the playoff at all. Kansas State, despite their loss and already a conference loss last week to Iowa State, I'm throwing that out. I still think they'll win a wide open Big 12 and be in. Clemson, as you said, I think they're back. They got a veteran squad, a 5th-year quarterback who's been in the system the whole time, and Riley Leonard's system, actually, not Riley Leonard. Riley, the offensive coordinator. Lincoln Riley's brother is the offensive coordinator. 2nd year there. I think that's going to make a big difference. Veteran squad. Dabo's ready to repeat. And I have Tulane coming out of the American Conference as the group of 5 pick. So not South Florida. I have Notre Dame in. I do have Ohio State in. These are all at large picks. Texas is in. I do have Illinois, as you do. Brett Bielema's done a great job there. Everybody talked about Indiana, and they were a great story last year. Illinois was a big story last year, too, being back. Miami, bit of a homer for me. I'm a Miami fan via marriage. This whole season hinges on the right arm of Carson Beck. If it stays attached to his shoulder, they got a chance to do well. Penn State, I have sneaking in. I'm not the James Franklin fan. They're not winning a national championship. I do have them sneaking in, and I have my big surprise, Nebraska. That's my surprise pick. Nebraska.
Well, you got me. I was about to ask you, Keith, jump all over you. No Nebraska. You seem so high on them, but you put them in there.
You're there.
What about one team I was tempted to put in? Really tempted, but I backed off. What do you think of Tennessee?
Tennessee, he always seems to be missing just a little bit. The quarterback situation, they basically traded Nico for Avila, who's not
UCLA,
he's played well at App State. Not sure how well he's going to do in the SEC. Came from UCLA where he never played a game because never did a practice. Tennessee's a sleeper in the SEC. The SEC, there's going to be teams that surprise me. LSU could. I don't have LSU. I got them on the inside.
Okay.
Outside. I think USC is going to be better in the Big Ten this year. I think you got to watch out for USC. My eventual champion, though, is going to be Dabo Swinney and Clemson coming all the way back.
You think Clemson? That's really coming all the way back.
That is coming all the way back. There's still.
Do you think Alabama's a little long in the tooth, and we give them a little too much credit based on reputation?
I think Alabama's going to surprise you, and they'll be. I think they're like I said. I think they win the SEC. I think DeBoer, not DeBoer, getting his offensive coordinator back from Washington, back running this offense, and Simpson's going to be better than you think, replacing.
I got to tell you a little story you're going to get a kick out of. I look up the national championship game. I think it's January 19th, if I'm not mistaken, whatever the date, but it's in Miami.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 40 minutes away from the stadium. And I tell myself, I want to go to the game. I'm going to go to the game, I tell myself, okay? So I started looking up tickets. They just went on sale, Keith. I don't care where I sit. I mean, I obviously want a good seat, but I could sit in the last row. You got the scoreboards now. I just want to be there. The cheapest seat, Keith, after service fees, this and that, is close to $2,500 for the worst seat in the house.
That's walking around for you.
I don't. The funny thing about it, I would have paid it if it was a Super Bowl. Because the Super Bowl's on my bucket list. I've never been at a Super Bowl game, actually. So that I would have actually put the money out for.
Yeah.
But the college championship game is something I really wanted to go to. But I might, you know what I might settle for? I might settle for the Boca Bowl. I'll be around that.
You could get a ticket for like
Maybe
20.
the Boca Bowl is like what, over $200 a ticket.
Just show up at the stadium. There's gonna be plenty of empty seats. You'll get in for like $50 probably.
You
Don't
think
pay.
so? The price goes down to just show. Are there empty seats for the Boca Bowl normally?
There's empty seats for every single bowl game except for these big
Oh,
games.
so why am I getting seats? I don't have to get seats in advance for that. I could just show up.
Not for the lesser tier bowl games. No, you can just show up.
Boca
I
Bowl,
guarantee
yeah.
somebody selling tickets, guaranteed. Or you just go to the box office because
Well, that's what I mean. Go to the box office. Yeah.
they could do away with half of these things. Danny, I'm not quite sure I'd put Boone and Freeman in the same category. Freeman hasn't had a chance.
There's not a lot of opportunities in big ones. What are we talking about?
He's won one big game. You want to talk about Brian Kelly being Boone, then we'll talk. Yes, he can't win a big game ever. That's why LSU's not in my picks. And we're going to get Danny asked how we did last week. I'm going to get
3 games picked.
So last week to recap, because Danny was asking how we did. Jack went 2-1. He won on where's my picks? You won on Western Kentucky, you won on Hawaii, and you won you lost on Fresno State. Got blown out by Kansas. I lost on Kansas State. I won on Kansas, and I lost on Sam Houston. So I'm 1-2. Jack is 2-1. That brings us to this week's picks. And Jack, I need 2 favorites from you this week.
Yeah, my favorites. I'm going to take Clemson, giving the 4.5 points to LSU. I mean, this is a highly touted game, but everyone you talk to feels that Clemson's going to win. And, I kind of wonder whether the line should have been bigger than that. It should have really been, I think, more like 7 points, but I'm definitely going to give the 4.5 points. And Notre Dame, I'm going to give 2.5 points to against Miami. I know if I'm going to pick Notre Dame to win the national championship, I've got to have faith in them to get it done against Miami right off the bat. I've got to have faith in them to get it done. I know the game's going to be there at Miami, and, you hear home crowd, this and that, but I think Notre Dame makes a statement, by winning this game. And I'm not that high on Carson Beck. My underdog, should I give my underdog pick?
Yep, give me your underdog pick.
I'll take Florida with the 13.5 points against Alabama.
Florida State, right?
Florida State, I'm sorry. I just don't see Alabama's, asserting that much dominance off the bat. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I mean, I could see Alabama winning, of course, but 13.5 is a lot of points, I think, in a matchup like that.
Very good. All right. So Jack's locked in. My picks, my 2 favorites. We talked about Tennessee a little bit. I like Tennessee in this game against Syracuse, minus 13.5. It's not on neutral field in Atlanta. I like Josh Heupel. Fran Brown has done a great job in his first 1 year at Syracuse. Turn them around. They're 10-3 last year, but they're going to have a tough time replacing Kyle McCord at quarterback. He had a record-setting year out there. Steve Angeli from Notre Dame as the quarterback this year couldn't get he did lead a scoring drive in the championship game last year, but he couldn't get himself elevated to win that job there. I do think Syracuse will get better as the season goes on. They get some good receivers. The defense is still a little suspect. I like Tennessee to win this game by maybe 20. My second one's off the beaten path a little bit. My second favorite, I like Utah State. Bronco Mendenhall left New Mexico after 1 year. And for New Mexico, they had a great year last year. They hadn't won more than 4 games in about 10 years. He won 5. He gets the job at Utah State. Did a great job in Utah, BYU years ago. I think he gets off to a good start here. I'll take them minus 5. I forgot who they're playing, though. How are they playing? They're playing UTEP. And my dog, I'm going to go with one of the big games of the day. If you went with 2 of them, I'll take Texas. Texas at the Horseshoe, getting 1.5 to beat Ohio State. Ohio State's still loaded. They got to show me, though. They lost 14 players to the NFL. They got to show, and a rookie and a first-time quarterback, as does Texas. they got to show me that they can be Georgia and replace those 14 guys this year and get off to a quick start. So we got all different. I think we got all different games this week. Last week we had a bit smaller card. We were on a couple of the same games, but that'd be fun. Tomorrow's going to be loaded. And by the way, check out game day tomorrow morning. Lee Corso's last game day, and it's going to be a very interesting few hours.
Lee Corso's loved in college football.
100%, and he is college football. Danny's staying away from Notre Dame. I am too. I like Miami in the game, quite frankly, but I'm not going to be betting that game, I can tell you. John Gonzalez for the Sports Authorities. Good morning, my friend. So anyway, Jack, we look forward to a great weekend. We'll wrap this all up. We'll see how we did on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Jack's got the debate show tomorrow with James and Brian. Check that out. Any preview of the question, or you want to?
No preview of the question. Well, obviously we're going to talk about the Micah Parsons to the Green Bay deal. That's going to be one of the debate questions, obviously.
I thought I'd catch you quick, and you can catch me Sunday morning with the Stream of Consciousness. Just a quick programming note: I have agreed. I was asked by Brian to extend my time on the Big Football Show to an hour. Because we have so much to talk about now on Sundays. I'm going to do that. We're going to move the start of the Sunday Stream of Consciousness back to 9 a.m. If you remember, we started at that time. So for Sundays going forward, we'll have a 9 o'clock start to the Stream of Consciousness. So anyway, guys, great job. Jack, great show. Great weekend. Enjoy it. Everybody enjoy the football. And let's see. Got to get my music playing. And Jack, I will see you later. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
All right.